Hello, welcome back to another episode of John the PM, where we believe that managing projects is not just a job, but a way of life. Ran across a really great quote that I wanted to read off to you. Success in project management starts before the week even begins. No truer words have ever been spoken. Now, again, I'm going to speak from my perspective. I just want to share a little bit of what I do, not because I think it's appropriate for everybody, but it works for me. And ever since I started doing it, it has really paid off dividends. What is that? I plan the week ahead. Absolutely. Now, on Saturdays or Sundays, whatever may be the case, I'll sit down and think about, hey, what am I going to do that whole week? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all the way through on that side. Some people may call this the Sunday planning system. I just call it my weekly planning system, and it has become a part of my life for a number of years now. So, very, very specifically, what do I do? Well, on Saturday mornings, again, this is just me. But I find that there's usually a break in the week. People are not awake, at 6 o'clock on a Saturday morning, so I have a lot of free time to myself in order to kind of reflect. And the first thing I do is I reflect on the previous week. In other words, what went well, what didn't go well, what should I start doing, what should I stop doing, what should I keep doing on those areas, on those pieces. After I reflect on last week, I look at my calendar for the following week, and then I'll kind of fill in. And this is in written format, just as a matter of fact, but you can do it on a digital platform as well. Then, some reason I just like to write it, and of course, I do keep it on the digital format, on those pieces. But nevertheless, I look at all the scheduled appointments that I have. I got to make sure that there aren't any obvious conflicts, like I'm going to be out of town, or if they're too close, or something of that nature, on those pieces. So some things are already kind of like fixed in, whether they're appointments scheduled well in advance on those areas. Then I look at all the things that I have wrote down that I need to accomplish that week, and I'll put a time period for them. Sometimes I find that it's better to do some things on Thursdays just because. So, just as a matter of fact, I do tend to break up my days into certain themes. So, on Mondays and Thursdays, I really consider those like my business development days, customer follow ups, and things of that nature. On Tuesday and Wednesday, I consider that my intellectual property days, where I might, do some deep studies and things of that nature. And then Friday, I affectionately call it my accounts receivables, or my accounts payable, my banking and bookkeeping day, on those areas on that side. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that all the time it happens that way. I just like to theme it out, on those areas. And so I kind of block it off, in those pieces. So then, if I have some work that needs to be done, let's say taxes and things of that nature, then more than likely I'm going to probably do it on Friday. If there's some key customer follow ups and things of that nature that I'm scheduling, then more than likely I'll schedule them for Mondays and Thursdays. If there's things that I'm like videotaping or writing or something of that nature, then probably on Tuesday, Wednesday. Of course, if there's any major conflicts in there, I just kind of work through them and set reasonable expectations as to what can get done. Now, don't also forget about your home life. After all, you have to make sure that you live a balanced life if that's ever possible. You do want to try and implement that as well as possible. And so, if there's key birthdays, anniversaries, and things of that nature, kids' event, be sure to script those in and make the appropriate allowances for those areas. Now, does that mean that that week is going to go exactly as planned? Absolutely not. But again, as I've mentioned previously, you've had a plan. And then what's going to happen the next Saturday is I'm going to review how well did I do, or how well did I not do. Then when I look back on the previous week, again, that reflections period, I ask myself, was I trying to do too much in too short of a time? Did I even have all the material ready to go? So, for example, if I'm waiting for other people to get me materials when before I can start, sometimes we'll call that the definition of ready. on those pieces. Was I realistic? Was I unrealistic? And then I just make adjustments going into the following week. Again, I have found this to be a really great way to kind of structure your day and your week, just to kind of make sure that everything kind of lands in a good place. And if there are any follow ups, at least I know about them and I can plan for them appropriately on those areas. Now, some of you may be saying, but John, I'm everything's always on fire. I have like zero control over anything. You know what? That could actually be the case. A lot of times the customers call and you can't just say, well, I'll get back to you whenever, my schedule permits. Ooh, not good. We should get back to our customers. Now, if you have a certain amount of times and things of that, then you should probably plan appropriately on those areas and kind of make sure that that you can meet the requirements that your customers have, or vendors or things of that nature, outside influences come in, that you can appropriately plan for them as well. Now, here's another thought, and I'm just kind of going off the cuff here, but let's say that you always have a certain issue that routinely comes up. Well, if it routinely comes up, honestly, it's no longer an emergency. It's just something that you really need to plan for. And again, that goes back into that reflections, that introspective that you do, or I do, on Saturdays, to kind of say, hey, how can I do a better job for the following week? Again, you'll be able to do this, on a pretty frequent basis. And over a period of time, I dare say, a few weeks, you'll have it dialed in fairly well, just as a matter of fact. All right. Well, thank you for joining us for another episode of John the PM, where we believe that managing projects is not just a job, but a way of life. May all of your projects be helpful. And if you like this episode, please do hit the like button below. Thank you and have an awesome day, and may all of your projects go well.